Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Fantastic Four issue 36. And I thought this was a pretty decent issue. It really delved into the repercussions of Johnny Storm being perpetually in flame on mode and what that kind of entails for what goes on with Sky and all that. And it really is nice to see the character development of Johnny kind of dealing with these consequences of everything going on. So let's dive into it. So we start off and we see back when the Fantastic Four were kind of like in their beginnings. We see that Johnny was like messing around with a car, but then of course there's a Fantastic Four call and he kind of flames on, burns out the car, and like goes off. But then we see that it's now in the present, and of course all the flames are coming off the Baxter building. Well, not off the Baxter building. Everybody sees the bright light and everything as the Fantastic Four are trying to deal with the situation. We see, of course, Franklin and Valeria kind of like commenting on the situation, being like, what the hell? Is he going to blow up? Franklin's like, is he going to blow up? And Valeria's like, if Doom was going to do that, he would have done that like instantly or whatnot. Or did it at such a time that it would have been very advantageous to him. And of course, Sue's like, this is not helping. And, of course, they try and give Johnny food because he hasn't been able to eat since. So we get that Herbie comes in, brings the food in like a Sub-Zero kind of field, but it bursts through and turns into flame, and Johnny's pissed off at it. We see the kids are pretty much pulled out of there as well, and they're trying to figure out everything, and Ben's the only one that can get close enough to him. The thing is, later on in the issue, we find out that he still feels the heat and the burns and all that. It's just his rocky exterior protects him from most of it, which shows just how good of a guy Ben Grimm is. His family's in trouble, and he's going to help them. Well, we see that the kids and Sue start talking in the hall. Pretty much, Franklin comes up with, I think, a good idea. Granted, it is more advantageous to him that Johnny's body's in flux and has a surplus of cosmic energy. Franklin doesn't have any cosmic energy, but yet is used to cosmic energy within his body. Well, why don't they find out a kind of transfer thing? And they call him selfish for it and pretty much play it off as being a teenager. Now, the way he kind of presented it, I could see it coming off as douchey, but it is a valid kind of thing. His body is specifically built to interact with cosmic rays. If there was anybody else to transfer access power into, Franklin Richards is your person to kind of go for. You know, it's not that stupid of a suggestion. Is it self-serving for him? Sure. I'm not gonna dance around that fact. It definitely would help him get powered up and be able to be more useful to the team and help him deal with certain kind of things, even though he should deal with them on his own. However, it is a valid kind of thing of being like, okay, Johnny has excess energy, and it needs to be kind of like somehow regulated. Because Reed's saying that he's like in a constant cycling up mode. So it's like, okay, it's kind of like a thing that's Doom somehow has pretty much entered into his thing of like this certain kind of like Zen mode, where he's pretty much ramped up to potentially probably go supernova. That's what I'm thinking of when it's kind of like cycling. But instead of getting to that point, it just keeps looping into the kind of like perpetual state that a sun would be in. So it's like, all right, you need to somehow break up that cycle, either by siphoning off enough of the power that it wouldn't get into that cycling up phase, or somehow interrupt it. So I'm like, okay, we'll kind of have to see how to deal with that, because we see that his food situation is not ideal. Reed asked him it could be tied to his emotional state to calm down, which, by the way, I used to, when I was younger, I was like, okay, yeah, I can understand being told to calm down, but I'm like, whenever somebody is in a kind of high-stress state, you never want to say, have you tried calming down, good sir and or madame? I mean, unless your objective is to get them cycled up more, as we see Johnny going, "Rrr," it doesn't really help. So since he can't really get food, Reed Richards pretty much like pops up with like a adamantium needle pretty much gun, and they just inject him with shit. It's like, all right, fine, cool. And then Reed's like, oh, okay. your soul bonding isn't melted off, so let me call Sky and get some information on this. Granted, this is just a logical thing that Reed would do because he doesn't understand the consequences of what Johnny has done. Though, granted, Johnny really should have explained it more. He gets in contact with her, what the fuck's going on with her? Another little thing that we get into is we see that Alicia and the kids are going on a play date with Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. It's actually kind of cool. They're like, yeah, we won't slay or do anything bad to the humans. And then once they see the other kind of strange kids that are around Yancey Street, they're like, oh, cool. Where can we get one of these dinosaurs? And we see Alicia pretty much talking with, I think it's Moon Girl's mom about, like, of course, the trials and tribulations of having a kid. About having kids. And it's like, yeah, kind of. They're always going to be kind of different people. And, of course, they do have other kind of cultures and stuff that you kind of have to take into effect. But the Moon Girl's mom's like, yeah, all kids have different kind of shit, man. That's how it kind of works. And then they're just shooting the shit. And then she kind of goes kind of weird. I don't know if she's possessed or something, talking about some weird shit. If that's linked to something else, it's like she's talking about grandparents. We're like, what the fuck is going on here? But then it kind of blows out because we see that Johnny pops up above the Baxter building. Reed is trying to build him a containment suit. And we see that Sky pops up and is pissed off and super, like, different. Well, not super different, but she's gone through some kind of transformation and is trying to, like, looks like attack Johnny. This is where I have some problems with it. I understand that Sky is in an emotionally compromised state, but she is, like, knocking down essentially the full-on flamed-on Human Torch that starts, like, messing with people because it's like, oh god, it's hot down here, it's burning the air and everything like that, and he's just like, I'm sorry, I can't control it. As it looks like she's attacking him, but she's like, no, I'm trying to get to this, and removes the soul bond and is pissed off at him because, of course, cheating with Victorious and all that, and wanting to just be kind of done with all this. Johnny then tries to pretty much get out of the way so that way everybody can be alright. Sky, of course, talks with Sue and says that she just wants to go home. She's burned and everything. And it's like, alright, we'll do that for you. Because only the intended beloveds can, like, remove the soul bonds. So then we see that they pretty much type in her planet stuff into the Forever Gate to pretty much get her there. Valeria gives her, like, this tablet of, like, the information that they've got. See if the Overseer can do any kind of stuff with, like, cosmic ray mutations. And if she finds out anything to, like, send it over, she's like, yeah, I'll send it over so you can heal Ben Grimm. And I'm like, I understand having that anger, but it's like Johnny could go supernova and, like, flame the world. And probably start going on, like, a crazy kind of thing of, like, galactic kind of consequences if his cosmic powers get that completely out of control. Like, I understand being pissed off at somebody, but, like, trying to pretty much push that pain off again and be like, yeah, screw you, and try and, like, dig back at people isn't how you want to do it. And I can understand why she's acting like that way. So, of course, Johnny is able to get his containment suit from Reed, and he's like, hey, I just wanted to apologize and also do one last thing for you. Promise won't hurt. Removes the soul bond from her. She's like, you lied. It did hurt. And of course, she leaves. And at this point, they decide to have a containment thing for him in the sub-basement that can hold him. And, of course, they're talking about it. Reed doesn't have cameras capable enough to, like, see in there or whatnot at the moment, but he'll rig it up for him about, like, tomorrow. Always good on Reed like that. He always is thinking of how to, like, do that next kind of step. Ben, of course, expresses how proud he is that Johnny hasn't been crying or anything, but Reed brings up, he's like, he physically cannot cry because of the heat, Ben. It's not because he doesn't want to or can't or has stopped himself from. He could be crying for all we know, and we never would know it because he's on fire perpetually. As we see him sitting in there kind of, like, thinking about the situation. He had said you wanted to be alone looking at the soul bond. And it's just like, yeah, it sucks the situation that Johnny's been in. Ben, of course, was pretty much telling him that he was being a dill hole and a jerk, and to Sky mainly to kind of point that out and get him clear to it, which Johnny finally got there because it's like, hey, that doesn't give you carte blanche to be a jerk like what you've been doing, man. And even though they were like a new couple or whatnot, or not really on the same page, he shouldn't have done what he did with Victoria. So it's like, yeah. So I'm glad that we had that kind of like character development kind of stuff going on with this. And even though it wasn't very action heavy, it did move some characters around in some places. Even though I'm like, Skye would have just been like, yes, of course she's amped up because of the cosmic duality that happened with the soul bonds and what happened to Johnny, and so her powers got amplified as well. But I would think that she wouldn't intentionally put people in harm's way like she did with this. It's like, I need a little bit of work. But I am interested to see how this kind of goes on and how they kind of try and help Johnny out with this predicament. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.